Hello everybody, Johnny Costino coming to you here at 8:15 on Wednesday as promised. We'll wait a few moments for folks to get here with us. Hope everyone's having a great day. We'll wait just a minute or two. I'll start off by saying I love the fact that so many of you have become inspired to start doing your own Facebook Lives. That is what this is all about. As I've said so many times, it's all about inspiring others, not motivating, but inspiring others to go out there and move past their fears, to literally go out there and be whoever you want to be. Coach K, how are you? Always good to see you. Frank, the captain of the A-team, how are you, sir? Hello, Miss Linda. It's great to see all of you. Yes, Miss Melanie, I had a long conversation with Tom last night, so we will be talking shortly. And a big hello to everybody. It's great to have you all here. We'll wait one more minute and then we'll get started. And tonight's message, from nothing to something to everything, will be building on the last couple of weeks of messages. Hello, Jerry and Tracy. As always, it's great to see you. It's great to see all of you. Had an incredible day. Actually, the past couple of days, it's been almost a week. I am exhausted from all of the conferences, video conferences, meetings, conference calls. But all I can say to you is it has been long overdue. It is exactly 100% why I do what I do, and more importantly, what I've been asking for now for the better part of the last couple of years. So it'll build into today's message. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. So the message, from nothing to something to everything, is, I stole the quote from Conor McGregor. As you guys know, I do a lot of research from many areas. One that happens to be special to me is the world of sports, because I'm a former athlete. And Conor McGregor is kind of an anomaly now. People see him as this mega superstar, and he's cocky, he's arrogant, and people get lost in that. And they don't understand that's all the showmanship. But if you do your research, and I'm not going to ask you to do it, but if you want, you can find early videos of Conor McGregor before he ever joined the UFC, when he was very, very young in his mixed martial arts career. And you can see in the video, he's a little kid. Grew up very, very poor in Ireland. But he wanted to be a fighter in the UFC one day. And so as a young kid, he decided he was going to practice, and he got into bare knuckles boxing. And that's how he began to develop his skills. And he was still in like dirt poor, nowhere Ireland. No one knew who he was. All of his friends and family basically said, "We love you. Please find a different career path." You know, they just saw this as pie in the sky. But Conor McGregor, at the age of 16, was introduced to the law of attraction. And here's my point. He bought into it, and then he sold out to it. And so he's been living the law of attraction for, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years now. I think he's 28 or 29 years old. But the bottom line is, in his early interviews, when he had nothing, and he was a nobody as far as the world was concerned, he was starting his career in boxing, which became soon after mixed martial arts. And he said, "Look, I will be a superstar in the UFC one day. You'll see." And everyone heard him talk, and he didn't talk with the same arrogance that he has now. He was very humble. The humility it oozed out of him. He was just a young kid with a dream. But it wasn't a dream to him. It was a goal. It was something that he already sold out to. And it's funny because in the interviews, they ask him things like this, like, well, what do you want out of your career? He says, I don't want anything. He said, I already have it. And here he was, I think his career record was 4 wins and 1 loss in Podunk, nowhere, Ireland. He wasn't even in the U.S., which is the home of mixed martial arts, UFC. He said, I don't want anything. He said, I already am the champion and I already have the belt. And they laughed at him. He was ridiculed. They were like, you're crazy. And again, if you see the videos, he's just this young kid, this baby-faced young kid with 5 fights. Not 5 UFC fights, 5 total. And he said, I already have everything I want. I don't want anything. I already have it. And so they just kind of appeased him. But my point in sharing this with you is he never stopped, A, believing in himself, and B, putting it out there. And so when you watch his interviews, when you watch him today, again, he's this completely cocky, arrogant, obnoxious mega superstar with a different job. When you see him now, his job is to sell fights, to sell $49.99 pay-per-views, to sell tickets to the arenas. But when you see him in these interviews, even today, he's very humble when the cameras aren't there to promote the events. And what I'm getting at is this young kid who obviously had talent talked himself into the following career. And I really want you to hear what I'm saying, because you don't have to be a fan of mixed martial arts or the UFC, because this applies to everything. But I'm going to tell you the story because this is a powerful story. So he's a little nobody and he's talking, but in addition to believing in himself and talking, he did the work. His words were, if you want to be successful in anything, you have to be a little bit crazy and a little bit out there. You have to completely sell out and become an expert. Focus on your skills, on your craft. His was fighting. So he did the work in the gym, but there are hundreds of thousands of fighters that do the work in the gym. He brought this confidence, and people saw it as arrogance, but what you'll come to learn is it was him self-affirming. So he said things like, one day you'll see me in the UFC. I'll be a superstar in the UFC. And he talked and talked and talked and talked. And he told everybody that he could that story. And eventually, word grew. He continued to win his fights. And what happened was the president of the UFC, Dana White, a company that's worth billions of dollars, hears over and over about this punk kid in Ireland who's talking about he will be a superstar in the UFC. So long story short, he talks himself into a face-to-face meeting with the president of the UFC. So I want you to think about this. Where everybody else said, you're crazy, do something else. Where everybody else said, that's a crazy dream, don't waste your time. He just kept talking, and then he kept bringing the work ethic. And he talked himself into an interview, and I'll never forget, I saw the interview because I'm a real big fan of mixed martial arts and the UFC. So I've seen this transpire in real time. I now get to go back and watch some of the videos. But Dana White did an interview where he said, after my meeting with Conor McGregor, I didn't know if this kid could fight, but I called my partners and I said, he sure can talk and he's going to sell tickets. So he talked himself into a debut fight, a first fight in the UFC. Now, if you know his career trajectory, it's been like this, because once he got his first fight, his debut in the UFC, he's been lights out. So he has his first fight. It's a success. He wins. And he now, because he's in the UFC, changes his language to, I will be the first 2-time title holder, 2-time champion, holding 2 different belts at the same time in UFC history. It was never done before. There were people that went to different weight classes, but no one in the history of the UFC ever held two different weight class titles at the same time. So again, here's this punk kid not saying, I'm going to be a champion. I'm going to be the first two-time champion holding belts at the same time. So of course, all the other fighters are like, keep talking, keep running your mouth, kid. We're going to knock you out. And he starts out in one division and goes lights out. Now, when I say lights out, before the fight, during the press conferences leading up, he would say, I'm going to knock him out in the second round, or I'm going to knock him out in the first round. And he would literally call it. And every single time the fight started, and it ended exactly the way he said it, he destroyed his competition. So now, after getting the first title, everybody thinks, okay, maybe this guy will shut up and calm down. Oh, no. He puts the one belt around his shoulders. He said, okay, I'm coming to the next weight class. And he leaves the weight class and begins his pursuit of the next title. And of course, the guys in the division ahead of him all are laughing, saying, keep running your mouth, you little punk. When you get up here, we're going to break you in half. But he doesn't back down. He believes in himself. He verbally puts it out there, and he does it on a consistent basis. And sure enough, what happens? It takes a couple of years from his first conversations to getting into the UFC, to getting into the UFC, to winning his first title, to getting his shot at holding two titles. And by the way, none of this was easy. He was working his tail off the entire time. He gets his shot at the second title, destroys the title holder, and now he says, what's next? Now, this is the crazy thing. He achieves everything that he wanted. He becomes the mega superstar in the UFC, in mixed martial arts, that he's been talking about. It took 4 years, almost 5 years, to get that done. What does he do? He calls out the greatest boxer, pound for pound boxing champion in boxing history, Floyd Mayweather. He starts jawing, I want to beat Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match. Now, again, Conor McGregor is arrogant, he's cocky, he's confident. But you know what? And this goes for all of you. If you back up what you say, it's not really cocky, it's not really arrogant, it's pragmatism, it's being pragmatic. And so he starts talking nonstop, John, about I'm calling out Floyd Mayweather. Now understand, boxing is here, mixed martial arts is here. They don't coexist, even though they're both combat sports. And so all the people in Floyd Mayweather's circle start telling him, this punk kid is calling you out. And Floyd Mayweather's response was, who the blank blank is Conor McGregor? Because Floyd Mayweather has 49-0 as his record. He's knocked out, destroyed everybody in boxing over a 20-year career. He's retired. He has like $800 million. So he's not worried about some kid who's in the UFC, who's been successful for the past 3 or 4 years, when he's got a 20-year career. He's 49-0, and more importantly, worth $800 million. But Conor McGregor won't shut up. And the more he talks, the more everyone else starts talking. And the more everyone else starts talking, it starts getting into Floyd Mayweather's ear. Now, I'm not here to debate whether or not he can beat him. That's to be determined. So I laugh at all the people wasting all their time talking. We'll find out August 26th when they actually fight. But here's my point. Conor McGregor keeps raising the bar, keeps setting bigger goals, but he doesn't talk about them like, well, one day I hope. He says, I will. He doesn't say, hey, Floyd, do you want to fight me? He said, I will kill Floyd Mayweather. I will destroy him. He's afraid to get in the ring with me. And says it so much that Floyd can't stand it anymore and has his managers call Dana White and say, set the fight up. So the point I'm trying to make is he is living proof that if you believe enough in yourself, if you sell out to your own dreams and you make them your reality, and then are confident enough to speak them repeatedly, consistently, with enthusiasm. Not just say the words, say them with authority, say them with enthusiasm. If you're willing to do that, the world can't help but hear you. And if you don't shut up, they can't help but listen to you. And when the world and the universe is forced to listen to you, things happen. So now fast forward. Some people are talking about the press conferences and this and that. And again, this is all called marketing. So shut up about what Floyd and Conor are saying, because they're doing it for one reason. They're doing it because they're trying to drum up interest. They have a fake hatred towards each other. And it's coming out in all of the press conferences because they're trying to sell tickets. This is a $100 event. People are going to pay $100 on pay-per-view. Not me. I'm going to go watch it at Miller's Ale House here in Fort Myers. But the point I'm trying to make is they have to create awareness. But here's what happened. Conor McGregor, a punk kid who even as the megastar in the UFC, he's worth $4 or $5 million. He's only been successful for the past couple of years. Forced the UFC, which is a $4 billion entity. I have no idea the trillions that the boxing industry is worth, and the retired champ Floyd Mayweather worth over $800 million, to all shift their thinking and their actions right here to meet what Conor McGregor has been saying out loud consistently and nonstop. So I want you to think about this for a second. You want to talk about the power of belief. You want to talk about the law of attraction. You want to talk about whatever. This is living proof. And this is not the one example. We can hear story after story after story of people who we now know as famous success stories that weren't always famous success stories. How many times have you heard stories about actors and actresses that today are Oscar winners, Emmy Award winners, Academy Award winners, but they spent 4, 5, 8, 10 years waiting tables with 3 and 4 roommates when they couldn't get hired for their acting career. But they were starving artists. They were starving actresses, starving actors, and everyone in their life told them it's never going to happen. Give up. You've been chasing this dream forever. And I won't even name names because it's unlimited. There are so many stories in Hollywood like that. But here's my point. The one common thread is they believed in themselves. They never gave up. I've said for my entire career in business, act as if. Act as if you already have. But I love Conor McGregor's mindset because he said, I don't want anything. I already have it. I already am. It's just a matter of me putting in the time and the work, and I'll have it. Now, you tell me if that does not completely coincide with what I taught you last week. And when I say what I taught you, it's not my information. I'm sharing, information that I get through research and conversations and so forth. But I'm gonna read it again because I want to make sure I get it straight. Because when we talk about it, there are too many people that are living in their box. And their box is, when I have these things, then I'll be able to do these things and I'll feel really good about all of it. And that's why most people, 99.9%, are stuck and don't know how to get out of their own way because they're waiting to have things in order for their reality to change. Now, the successful way to go out there and do that, the successful way is to reverse the order. To already feel these things. Already feel that you have, as Conor McGregor said, I don't want anything. I'm already the champion. I'm already a mega superstar in the UFC. I already have both belts. When he was 4-1 as a punk kid in Podunk, nowhere, Ireland, fighting bare knuckles boxing, and no one knew his name. But in this little interview of him saying, I will be a mega superstar in the UFC. It began the process. I already have it. So if you want things, stop talking about what you want and start to believe. Feel right now that you already have them and that you already are. I am. I am. I have. I am. I have. I am. I have. Then, when you do that repeatedly, you will begin to act as if. You will begin to act as if you were a champion. You will begin to act as if you have certain things. And then, once you have mentally sold out, verbally confirmed it, and begin to live it, you'd be amazed how fast, just like with Conor McGregor, everything in the world begins to move in the direction that you are demanding, because it has to. Because you're relentless with it. You are relentless with what you want. Now, I will give you my personal story on this. I have been saying since 1997, I want you to think about this for a second. Since 1997, I have said the industry of network marketing and home-based business is broken. I documented why it was broken. I proved why it was broken. And then I set out verbally to say, I want to change the industry. I want to fix the industry. I want to sanitize and cleanse it. Now, I didn't have all this awareness. So I didn't have the ability back then to say it properly. I was talking about what I wanted to do. Now, that all changed for me over the last couple of years. Over the last couple of years, thanks to a huge transformation and a huge shift with me, I began to say, I am changing the industry. I have the answer. And here's the funny thing. Once I mentally changed and verbally switched from I want to I am and I have, all of a sudden, things began to happen. And some of you have been living it with me, and some of you are just meeting me, so, the specifics are not that important, but the right people came into my life, and the wrong people exited my life. And that happened by order. Not by me throwing people out of my life, by them moving out of my life. Moving out of my life, because part of my request, my prayers to God and my request to the universe was lead me to the people and the places that are in alignment with my greatest good in cleaning up this industry and creating the one and only safe place for people to start and build a home-based business. And it's so crazy how, like I said, everything began to shift. Some of you know my partner, Ian Bratt, our CEO. There's no way in the world Ian and I were going to cross paths. And it's so funny because it continues to happen. I've shared with you over the past few months that because of me verbally talking about this on the Facebook Lives, and because me putting it out there to the universe, in addition to saying my prayers, but knowing and believing and saying what's happening, a very close friend of mine that we haven't worked together since 1999 circled back and called me out of the blue and said, let's partner up. Let's go finish what we started. All of a sudden, that relationship that I have with him opened up the doors to another gentleman. Open up the doors to another opportunity. Open up the doors in that opportunity to another expert. So I'm slowly, day by day, week by week, meeting and assembling like an all-star lineup of people that are all experts in their own field. Imagine having an expert in every field that you need and then coming together. And that's why some of you know that we're very close. We've had multiple rounds of negotiations, proposals, and counter-proposals. It's taken a lot longer than I would have wanted, but I came to realize that it's happening exactly the way it should. And I'll give you the generic version of it. I flew down to Houston, as many of you know, to meet with a company 4 months ago. I flew down a second time in May. So 2.5 months ago. And the irony of it is we didn't get the deal with that company, but one of the most senior corporate level executives, after 2 meetings with myself and my partners, decided that if my company does not do this deal with these guys, I'm going to walk away from my company and my corporate career, 16 years with that company, and join them. Now I want you to think about that for a second. Here we are, a group of marketing, social media, and corporate training. And it's really 3 of us with a specific expertise and then 2 others with a very strong support expertise. But we're just going to say 5 of us. 5 of us sitting there meeting with a company that's worth $40 billion and telling them what we're about to do and what we can do for them. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. They didn't say no to us. They just weren't sure if they're ready to hitch their wagon to us. And in the interim of trying to figure out whether or not we can really do what we say we can do, because we said it with confidence, we said it with respect, we said it with authority. We said we are going to do this for one company or another. We'd like to be you guys. Now here's the irony of it. While they're reshuffling their company, while they are going through their transition and trying to figure it all out, this executive that's been working hand in hand with us in getting the presentations and everything in line says, I'm sold out to what you guys are doing. I have a 2-decade career in the energy market, and I've never seen anything like this, and I know what you guys have done individually. I can't imagine you coming together and doing this for any other company other than mine. And if they don't sign the deal, I want to go with you guys to wherever you go. I want you to think about that. All I can tell you is, just like I met Ian Brett, my partner and CEO, by divine accident. I'll say accident because I didn't know how it was going to happen, but it was certainly a divine blueprint that brought us together. That's exactly what's happening right now. So for those of you reading between the lines, there are some very big things that are now getting close to resolution, conclusion, and closure, and I'll be able to make some business announcements in the upcoming weeks. But my reason for bringing that up right now is it doesn't happen, by accident. It doesn't happen because you think about it. It happens because you believe in it. You believe in yourself. You speak it consistently, confidently, and nonstop. And because your belief is so strong, you bring the work ethic to back up your mouth. See, that's one of the things that I've tried to share with people. I don't like saying things and then not being able to back them up. So I'm going to do the work. I'm going to make sure I'm prepared. And what happened is, if you do that enough, all of a sudden, people no longer hear your words. They see your work ethic. They see your body of work. They see your abilities. And see, that is what's attractive. That's what's bringing people. You know, there's a lot of posts that go around there. You know, don't listen to what people say. Watch what they do. Listen, that applies in your personal as well as your professional life. Okay? And I've learned that the hard way in my relationships. I used to listen to what people say and not so much watch what they do. I'd make excuses for their behavior. Did the same thing in business. But what I've come to realize is that was my lesson to learn. It was my lesson to finally figure that out. And now that I have, I'm able to discern, to clearly discern, accurately the right people to align myself with. And that's where we're at right now. So why am I boring this with you? Because if you right now have bought into, yes, you can create your own reality, then you need to make sure that you're doing it in a way that's productive. So as I said to you last week, and I'm going to kind of tie it together here because I don't want to go too much longer, I want you to think about this. Everything that you are going to strive for has to already, in your mind, be yours. So no longer talk about what you want. Talk about who you are by saying, I am, and what you have by being grateful for what you have right now. That means you have to visualize things that right now don't exist. You have to look in the mirror. If you saw the post that I put, the little kitty cat looking at the puddle that sees the giant tiger, that's what you got to do in the mirror. If you don't yet see the tiger, tiger's never going to appear. So, to say this very, very specifically, it's all about your vibration. What is your frequency? What are you vibrating out? What are you attracting? Because everything is energy. And a magnet has two sides, two poles. One attracts, the other one repels. So what are you? What are you attracting through your vibration? Your vibration is all about your feelings. Your feelings, okay, are all about your emotions. We are very emotional beings, okay? So your feelings are not your words. Your feelings are your emotions. Now, your emotions are what you are experiencing right now. Your present experience creates your emotion. Your present experience is not your surroundings. Your present experience is what your mind sees in the future, what your brain is visualizing in your future. And see, your future is all about your beliefs. Your future is all about what you believe right now. So you have to believe right now in whatever it is that you actually are desiring. And if you believe it, it's your future, but it's your present experience. And your present experience will create your emotion. Is your emotion excitable, enthusiastic? Is it an attractive, or is it negative? Think about that for a second. Is it a positive, attractive, or a negative, repelling? And then, when we talk about your emotion creates your feeling. And that vibration is going to co-create your reality for you, as I used in the example with Conor McGregor. How did Conor McGregor talk himself into a meeting with Dana White? Think about somebody dirt poor over in another country talking himself into a meeting with the president of basically all of mixed martial arts and combat sports, because the UFC is hands down the #1 combat sports industry, and it's the leading company in that industry. So he talked himself into a meeting, and then from that meeting he talked himself into a chance. And I really want you to understand this. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people who deserve that chance. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of young kids that deserve that chance. Why did Conor McGregor get it? Because of his belief, and then because of his commitment, because of his willingness to put it out there verbally. And then once he got his chance, he kept talking about being the only 2-time title holder, consecutive at the same time, holding 2 different weight class titles. Kept talking about it. And then got both title shots and won both of them. More importantly, again, he's bringing the work ethic. He's talking it, but he's bringing the training and the daily work ethic. And then after achieving everything there was to achieve in the UFC, in mixed martial arts, he does the crossover. And if you're not sure how important this is, he's worth about $4 million right now. He's going to make more than $25 million for one fight. Try to put that in perspective. Imagine your entire career you made $4 million. But because of your work ethic, because of your consistent message, because of your constant delivering that message, You're going to have a one-day payday of $25 million when your whole career you made $4 million. Put that into perspective. You just forced a guy who's worth $4 billion, Dana White, and a fighter worth $800 million. I shouldn't say Dana White's worth $4 billion, but the UFC was just sold for $4 billion. So that's the entity. Floyd Mayweather, worth over $800 million. And this little punk kid talked enough to move them onto his path. Folks, all I can tell you is it's real and it works. My question to you is, are you willing to commit to it? My story's still being written. I still have another couple of weeks of contract negotiations, a couple of months of foundation building, but I promise you, January 2018 is where my face and my head is right now. I'm still living in the present. I'm still in the present moment. But believe me when I tell you, I'm playing the game in January right now. And I'm sharing with you that's what you have to do. So if you want something and you really desire it, change your thought process, change the way you speak, follow your words. Don't just talk, back them up. Again, this doesn't happen if at any point, I want to end with this because this is critical. If at any point Conor McGregor did not bring the daily work ethic, the training, he would have had one fight, he'd have been knocked out, and then that nobody would have ever heard of his name. It would have been over before it started. So please don't misunderstand. It's not about just talking. You must bring the work ethic. You must deliver a work ethic on a daily, consistent basis, but the work ethic alone is not going to get it done. The talking alone is not going to get it done. It's the belief, it's the outward projection, and then it's backing it up with the daily, consistent effort. So with that, I hope this message resonates with all of you again. It has nothing to do with the UFC, nothing to do with mixed martial arts. It applies to every aspect, every arena, every avenue, every element of your life. I just happen to use that example because it's very timely and very relevant because this kid's going to have a payday in about a month that's unheard of. I want you all to desire something great for yourself, whatever that is. I'm not here to tell you what that is. I'm here to say you are free to go dream. You are free to kick the walls out of the boxes. You are free to unplug from the matrix and actually go for whatever you want. But if you're going to do that, believe in yourself first, or else nobody else will. Constantly reinforce that belief with the outward projection verbally, daily and consistently, and then sell out 100%. Commit 100%. I'll leave you with this. This beard is going to be gone in a couple of weeks. I keep it because it reminds me to stay focused on the grind. And everybody says, when are you going to shave? When this beard comes off, you'll all know it's game time. But until then, it's John Costino saying, thanks for watching. Be blessed. If this made sense, share it with people you care about. And for those of you that work with me in MoneyWise, I will see you in about 5 minutes. God bless. See you soon.